Well, welcome to River Lake Church, everybody. I am so glad to see you guys. Guess what? I'm not Pastor Nick Smith. Surprise. Okay, how many of you guys are disappointed? No, wait, don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. I'm already nervous enough up here. So it's okay. I have these same feelings you guys have when we have a guest speaker. I'm like, oh, guest speaker. Didn't know that. Would have altered plans. Even my own, my dear husband was like, honey, I love you so much. You're going to do great. I'm going to support you strongly from Facebook Live. So if you're watching from Facebook Live, good morning. We're glad you guys are here today. No, but Pastor Nick is on a much-needed vacation right now, and my name is Nicole. So I guess we kept that easy for you. Nick, Nicole. But I'm going to be delivering our talk this morning. And I can do this morning because, well, it's like I am you. Okay, I have the same feelings you guys have. I am feeling the same way when we have a guest speaker. And I can come at it from maybe a little different perspective than Pastor Nick can. But we're going to be talking this morning about the series that we're in right now, and that is called Who Told You That? The Lies We Believe. And we're going to talk this morning about the lie, you don't need church. Or rather, more specifically, you don't need regular church attendance. Okay, so that's what we're going to walk through this morning. And we have one of our core values is that we are relevant, simple, and real. And so that's what I'm going to be with you guys this morning. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be transparent. And that's a little harder when you're up on stage and you guys are out there. But I'm going to do that this morning. And I figure you guys are going to have to love me anyway when it's over because you're my church, right? You're my peeps, okay? That's it. That helps. So let's say a prayer this morning. And let's get this started, okay? Dear Lord, I come to you, we all come to you this morning, and we open up our hearts, okay? We want to have open hearts, we want to have teachable spirits, and we want to hear you. We want to put aside just for a minute all the things we brought in with us, and we want to feel your spirit, and we want to listen to you with open hearts, and we ask for your blessing. In your name we pray, amen. Okay. A little bit ago, Chris and Ron and I, we went on vacation. And I love vacation. It's one of my favorite things to do. And we were on vacation, and we were in Buffalo, New York. So you hear that, and you're like, why is she vacationing in Buffalo, New York? So I got an answer for that. It's Go Bills. Silence. So I'm the only Go Bills fan up here, but that's okay. So we are big Bills fans, so we catch them while we're up there. And it's a beautiful place. There's a great lake and everything up there. So we were vacationing in Buffalo, and we were getting ready to go to the movies, which is another one of my favorite things to do. So we're at the stoplight, and we push the gas to go, and it gets this jerk, and then nothing. So in a room this size, I'm assuming we've had car problems before. So you're familiar with that feeling, like, oh, you know it's bad, right? So get that feeling. It was not time for our transmission to go out in the car. It was not time for the transmission to go out in the car 12 hours from home. And it wasn't time for the transmission to go out on vacation, So, this happened. There are two things, really, that we learned from this situation. Okay. One being, it wasn't the end of the world. Okay. We didn't die. It had a recovery period, yes. Was bad, yes. But we didn't. Here's why. Because Chris and I, being transparent here, Chris and I, we've been all over the board regarding finances. So we've been, lucky enough to accumulate credit card debt. And we have also been able to save some. Thank goodness we had been able to save some at this time in our lives. So it wasn't the end of the world, okay? Number two, and unfortunately we know this in this room because we've been through some things, but it's not is a bad thing going to happen, but it's when. So we have to prepare for that, which is what we did by accumulating at this time. So here's the thing, okay? You can only withdraw what you've been able to accumulate, okay? So let's take this from a paycheck standpoint, for example. If you save $50 a month, or $50 a paycheck, if that's better. If you save $50 a paycheck and you do this for, a year, you're thinking, yeah, that's looking pretty good, feeling pretty good about that. If you exercise 30 minutes a day, which obviously I need to do more of, but if you exercise 30 minutes a day in 6 months even, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, So here's what happens in both of those situations, okay? Once you get it built up and you're feeling pretty good and you're accumulating some, you have a tendency maybe to pause, right? Which, I totally recommend, when you look at your finances and you see that there, you're like, oh, sweet, I can buy that big TV, or I can go on that trip, or which I recommend because trips are lots of fun and sports look great on big screen TVs, And when you have been exercising and you're feeling pretty good and you want that cheesecake, which I also recommend, especially at Gondolier. It's pretty good stuff there. But if you see that and you've been able to accumulate, then you kind of want to pause for a bit. And here's what happens, though. The next time it's easier to pause. And then the next time it's easier to pause. So you keep going like that. So let me bring this back around to church, if you're wondering where I'm going, okay? Here's the point. Going to church is making a spiritual deposit, okay? So we all know somebody that is going through an awful lot, and if you think about the person that you know in this situation, you're like, no, really, God, that's a lot. That's a lot. They don't need anything else. And then we know people that go through things, and it's big to them, but they're breaking down, There's somebody I know, and their daughter is in middle school, and that's hard enough anyway. Middle school's a hard time, but their daughter is been diagnosed with a serious chronic disorder that they're going to have to deal with their whole life. And then their mother is in the later stages of dementia. And that's tough, because that's your mom, And then the dad, who is like really the rock of the family, The dad is being diagnosed with a brain tumor, and you're like, that is a lot. That's from every angle, But I'm going to tell you something. This person is better to be around than 75% of the people that I know. They've got like a peace and a smile and just pleasant to be around, And then, you've got other people where you're like, So here's the thing, okay? You cannot borrow from somebody else's spiritual health. You can't do it. It's not like in life or in your finances where you've got credit that you can pull from. You can't do that. You got to build up your own in life. So it's there when you need it, because when you go through the hard times in life, which we know it's going to happen, you've got to have it in your bank that you can withdraw from, So that's what we need to think about. How's your spiritual health? Can you deal with some stuff? Or are you breaking down? Because you've got to make those spiritual deposits, or they're not going to be there when you need them, okay? So if you're with me here, you got to think, how do you make spiritual deposits? How do we do this? So every Sunday morning, you wake up, or at least I wake up, and I've got this thought in my head. Oh, you don't need to go to church today. You've been plenty of times. Gosh, you're there all the time. Or you can watch it on Facebook Live, right? Or you don't need to volunteer. They've got tons. They had plenty last time. So you wake up with that lie in your head that you're hearing, in the morning, And, and I'll be honest, there's some people I hear, and they're like, oh, I'm here all the time. I volunteer for 3 services. It's great. And, I have a deep love for River Lake Church, too. I mean, like, it's deep there. But I'll be honest, sometimes I'm tired. And sometimes I want to go on trips, vacations. I mean, y'all, I'd go anywhere with anybody, anytime. Love it. Do that. And sports, it's one of my favorite things. It is. I've already talked to you about my Bills. I love my Cubbies and the Preds. How about the Preds? Game 6, Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, right? That's a big time. So I love my sports, and those are major competitors with sports. Okay, well, let me give you a quote so we can talk about this. This is by Priscilla Schreier. Okay, we must be deliberate and intentional about setting guardrails around our endeavors so we can travel freely to the places God is taking us. Okay, so when there's something important, when church is important, the reason that I can be here when I have all those other things calling me is because I have placed a margin, a boundary around church because I know it's important. Okay, you've got to establish those or the world just takes it from us. That's what's important. So when the lake calls or when my sports calls or when vacation calls, I've got that boundary there so that those guardrails are there that protects what I know is important so I can make those spiritual deposits, okay? There's another quote I wanted to work through. It's by Brad Lomenick, okay? It talks about margin. Margin is a powerful concept, okay? Margin in business creates profits. Margin in family creates memories, right? We know if we don't invest in our family, you don't get those memories. Got to have a guardrail around that. Margin in finance creates generosity. Margin in friendship creates significance and impact because you've got to invest in those friendships to grow those. Margin in our lives overall creates options, and we ultimately live life more fully. That talks about margins. Because let me tell you something. The world's going to tell you differently, but immediate gratification, that's going to sacrifice your long-term happiness, okay? That's not what the world says, but that's the truth here. So God gives us boundaries. He gives us boundaries so that we can enjoy life. If you take this biblically, we think about the Israelites, okay? They were slaves not only their whole lives, but for generations. They were in bondage for generations. When God used Moses to pull them out of that, they had total freedom, They messed up quite a bit. They had a lot of mess ups. So God gives them boundaries, gives them margin there. Places guardrails around them by using the 10 Commandments so that they can live life fully and safely, okay? So talking about our margins that we've got, let me give you 3, good margins to put around church, okay? Now, they're going to be different for everybody because we're all different people, and we all have different temptations and different slants and things that are going to pull us. But there are 3 good examples, okay? 1 is we need to be here 3 or 4 times a month, okay? You should go on those vacations. They're lots of fun, and you're going to have sick kids. Definitely not fun. But we need to establish a pattern, like an order, so that we're here to be able to do that. Number 2, another good one, is going to be to serve, okay? When you serve, you're more invested. And also, you have more responsibility because you can't just not show up. When you're serving, and you don't show up, you have to call somebody has to cover for you. You just have more responsibility that you've got there. And then number 3, and this is pretty cool because it's my speech this morning, so I get to incorporate what I want to this morning. So I'm going to bring in a little Jimmy Buffett this morning because I'm a big parrot head. Do we have any other parrot heads out there? Okay, I got to have a parrot. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. There we go. So in the words of the great Jimmy Buffett, ooh, there's a thin line between Saturday night and Sunday morning, right? So this is something that I am quite guilty of, really. If I'm in Nashville and my Preds are winning in overtime, I get home at 2 in the morning. Let's just say I'm much less invested when I have to serve at 8 than I am at my normal bedtime. So those are 3 general guardrails that we can place around what we know is important to do that. So let's think for a minute, okay? I want you guys to think, to concentrate for a minute and think with me. I've got a question for you. What if there was no more church? And I mean no more church here, no more church there. There's no church anywhere. You can't meet with friends in a small group and call it church. There's no church. And you can't start a new church. Just no more. So what's that look like? No? You've got no more hope, no more help, no more, here, let me pray with you. No more, you've been going through a hard time, let me bring you a meal. Because there's no church. And then, let's think about the opposite of that. Let's think about church at its best. Let's think about our Christmas, what we did at Christmas, our Let Hope In. Oh, guys, that was good stuff, wasn't it? Like, we were giving people hope and love and cars and, money. It was good stuff we were doing then, But how easy is it to let the world back in, Just takes a minute, bam, world's back in. You're not making those spiritual deposits. You don't have that margin around it. You don't have those guardrails to protect it. It comes back in because that's a daily choice that we have to make to protect what we know is important to us. Okay? So if you listen to Pastor Nick each week, he always has a call to action, something he wants you to do. And honestly, usually those are kind of annoying because they're hard, right? They want you to do something, want you to work towards something. But they're good call to actions. And I'm going to say also, God has a way of convicting us, right? So God's like, Nicole's having some problem with regular church attendance. I know. Let's give Nicole conviction. Let's make her give a speech in front of everybody about how she needs to be at church. Yeah, that's conviction for you. And then I have to come up with a call to action, right? So here we go, guys, all right? We're going to try and be here the next 6 out of 8 weeks. And I picked that because we have about 8 weeks left in summer. And I say that because really 8 weeks until Barron County goes back to school, because that's when my son goes. So it's kind of like the end of summer a bit. So 6 out of the next 8 weeks is when we need to be here. And I'm going to give us a verse to help us with that, okay? It's in Hebrews. It says, "Let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing." And when I read that, I saw Nicole is in the habit of doing, As a matter of fact, I think that was Pastor Nick's last week's call to action, wasn't it? To read something until you were convicted by it. So there you go. So not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. So there's our verse. We're going to go to when we need a little help coming the next 6 to 8 weeks. Now, the last part of that verse says encouraging one another. Okay, so let's talk about encouraging one another. I don't know what God has planned for you guys because you're all different. And God has a specific plan for each of us. So I don't know what that is. But what I do know is that you were meant for more. And I know some of you guys hear that and you're like, more? Nicole, are you crazy? I don't want more. I need less. And I hear that, and I hear that so much. That's actually what my small group is on. It's on less. It's on the importance of doing less. I have a big problem with more, okay? So I don't mean more that way. I mean you're meant for for more, okay? More depth, more peace, more tranquility, more meaning. You know, you were meant for that kind of more. And you don't get that kind of more by being alone. You get that kind of more by being in a community, by being in a group, because that's how we were meant to work. See, we're not earthly beings, we're spiritual beings, we're eternal beings. We were meant to be in heaven. We weren't meant to be here on earth. We're here on earth to do God's will, but that's why you don't ever feel fully satisfied here on earth, because you're not meant to be here. You're meant to be in heaven. And while you're here, we have to impact each other. We have to reach more to that different level. So I grew up in church. I was there all the time. I was there every time the doors opened. I grew up in church. And I spent quite a bit of time away, quite a big season away from church. But I'm back. I came back. And so why did I do that? You know, and it's because church is special. You know, you can feel that. You know you were meant for that next level. Okay, so let me tell you a more story. Okay, it was a couple weeks ago, and that was the first really week of summer. So it was in the transition from when school was out to summer, and transition's hard. It's hard for anybody, but it's really hard when you have kids, you know. So I was really tired, and I was this close to calling Brett and just being like, yeah, I can't make it this morning. But like I said, I have those guardrails in place, and the one that really saved me that morning was the volunteering. Someone else would have had to have, picked up my slack that day. But came to church. I've got my game face on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to escort and greet people. And in comes somebody that I hadn't seen in about 6 years, okay? Which is good. That's my first blessing. And I guess it's because I liked them. I guess if you didn't you didn't want to see them if you hadn't seen them in 6 years. But somebody came in and got to see them, which was great, and was showing them around the church and everything. And they were like, I'm here at the 8:30 service because, I'm involved with another church. And I said, yeah, I know, it's okay. We won't tell anybody, So I was showing them around, and we were walking through River Lake Church and where everything is and everything. And I just said, I got to ask, what brings you here this morning, And they said, well, I really enjoy Pastor Nick's sermons online. I'm like, yeah, they're really good. And they're like, but really, I wanted to see if you guys were more than just entertainment. And I smile because, I know that's by design, because that's another one of our core values is we make it easy for everyone to find and follow Jesus. So that's one of our core values. And I know we'll do that. We'll do what it takes to get you here. But then when you're here, you'll find out very quickly that we go deeper, okay? So we're here at the church, and I'm sitting with my friend, and Pastor Nick delivers a great sermon, which he always does. But we're sitting there, and we're praying through everything, and Pastor Nick did something he doesn't usually do. He says, I want everybody to bow your heads and close your eyes for a minute. And then I want you to raise your hand if you're going through something that you really need help with, that you just can't do on your own, if you just really need help with. And, my friend was really moved, And he was raising their hand and just moved at that moment. And then when it was over, the service was over, I got to stay. I got to pray with my friend, walk him through some things. I'm going to tell you something about that, guys. I was meant to be here at that time. That was my appointment. And that's called a divine appointment, okay? That was what I was supposed to do. And let me tell you something about divine appointments. If you miss them, they're gone. And that seed that you were supposed to plant didn't get planted. It didn't grow. And you don't know if that's ever going to happen again, if they're ever going to have another seed. And the thing about divine appointments is you're responsible for them. If you miss them, you've got to be held accountable for that. And if you're not here, you can't see that. You know what we want in life is we want to give God like a contract. We want to write out what we want. We want to write out, this is what I want with my life, God. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to live. This is who I want to marry. This is how many kids I want. This kind of car I want to drive. This is what I want to do, God. I want you to sign this. Bless this, Lord. Bless my plan. And he smiles because he loves us, And he's so patient with us, so patient. And he takes our contract and he tears it up. And he says, no, my child, here. I want you to sign this. And it's a blank piece of paper. It's a blank contract. There's nothing on it. And he wants us to sign that because you see, his plan for us, it is much better than anything we have. We don't get to see it all. We don't get it all lined out for us. There's no glory. God doesn't get any glory in that. There's no blessing in that. So what happens is you've got a step. And if you see that step and if you take it, you get another step. And if you do that, you get another step. That's how it works, okay? And if you're not here to see that step, you don't get it. It's gone. So what we have to do, okay, is we have to be here. We have to be here to make those spiritual deposits because, guys, we're going to need them. They're going to have to be there so we can pull them out when we need them. We don't know when that's coming, but it is. So you have to be at church to pull out those spiritual deposits. And you have to make a boundary around it because it's important. It is. The world calls, but it is there and it's important. And you have to be here to see those next steps, but you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone at all because that's what the church is for. We're here for each other. We're here to help each other grow. So you don't have to do it alone. That's what we're here for. Now, if you guys want to stand with me, we'll pray, okay? Dear Lord, we thank you so much for your patience and your love. We thank you for showing us things. We thank you for, while it's hard, we thank you that we can grow. And we thank you that we can feel that next level. And we ask that you make us bold so that we can get there, so that we can reach what we're meant to do. And we thank you for your blessings. And we thank you in advance because we know the best is yet to come. And we thank you for your help getting us here. In your name I pray. Amen. Hey guys, I'm going to see you all throughout the next 8 weeks, 6 out of the 8 next weeks. Okay? And don't forget Father's Day. You guys have a great week. Thank you.
Your presence, Lord.